So the answer here is Benadryl, and cyclosporin related to gingival enlargement.
Just because it's one team, he got like 10 of them.
Histamine, friend or foe, or frenemy. From NIH Medline Plus magazine. Histamine. Is it the most annoying chemical in the body?
Plant.
It's the stuff that allergies are made of. Hay fever, food allergy, skin allergies. Histamine plays a big role in all of them. And those conditions play a big role in us. In 2015, CDC data showed that more than 8% of U.S. adults had hay fever. More than 5% of U.S. children had food allergies, and at least 12% of all U.S. kids had skin allergies. So what's the deal? Why do we have such a pesky chemical in our body? Well, histamine is usually our friend. Histamine is a signaling molecule sending messages between cells. It tells stomach cells to make stomach acid, and it helps our brain stay awake. You may have seen these effects illustrated by medicines that block histamine. Some antihistamines can make us sleepy, and other antihistamines are used to treat acid reflux. Histamine also works with our immune system. It helps protect us from foreign invaders. When the immune system discovers an invader, immune cells called B cells make IgE antibodies. The IgEs are like wanted signs that spread throughout the body, telling other immune cells about specific invaders to look for. Eventually, mast cells and basophils pick up the IgEs and become sensitized. When they come in contact with a target invader, they spew histamine and other inflammatory chemicals. Blood vessels become leakier, so that white blood cells and other protective substances can sneak through and fight the invader. Histamine's actions are great for protecting the body against parasites. But with allergies, the immune system overreacts to harmless substances, not to parasites. This is when histamine becomes our foe. Common allergens include peanuts, pollen, and animal dander. Leaky vessels cause tearing in eyes, congestion in the nose, and swelling, basically anywhere. Histamine works with nerves to produce itching. In food allergies, it can cause vomiting and diarrhea. And it constricts muscles in the lungs, making it harder to breathe. Most worrisome is when histamine contributes to anaphylaxis, a severe reaction that is potentially fatal. Swollen airways can prevent breathing, and a rapid drop in blood pressure could starve organs of vital blood. So what can be done about histamine? Antihistamines block cells from seeing histamine and can treat common allergies. Medicines like steroids can calm the inflammatory effects of allergies, and anaphylaxis needs to be treated with a shot of epinephrine, which opens up airways and increases blood pressure. So our relationship with histamine is complicated. We can do better. NIH, and specifically the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, support research of histamine and its related conditions. Great progress is being made in understanding allergy triggers and managing allergic symptoms, and figuring out why histamine, our frenemy, acts the way it does. Find out specific up-to-date research and stories from medlineplus.gov and NIH Medline Plus the magazine. medlineplus.gov/magazine, and learn more about NIAID research at niaid.nih.gov.
What's that?
Just gonna wait on the phone.
You're standing at the ready inside the goal when suddenly you feel an intense itch on the back of your head. We've all experienced the annoyance of an inconvenient itch, but have you ever pondered why we itch in the first place? The average person experiences dozens of individual itches each day. They can be triggered by all sorts of things, including allergic reactions. reactions, dryness, and even some diseases. And then there are the mysterious ones that pop up for no reason at all, or just from talking about itching. You're scratching your head right now, aren't you?
No.
Anyhow, let's take one of the most common sources, bug bites. When a mosquito bites you, it releases a compound into your body called an anticoagulant that prevents your blood from clotting. That compound, which we're mildly allergic to, triggers the release of histamine, a chemical that makes our capillaries swell. This enables increased blood flow, which helpfully accelerates the body's immune response to this perceived threat. That explains the swelling, and it's the same reason pollen can make your eyes puff up. Histamine also activates the nerves involved in itching, which is why bug bites make you scratch. But the itchy sensation itself isn't yet fully understood. In fact, much of what we do know comes from studying the mechanics of itching in mice. Researchers have discovered that itch signals in their skin are transmitted via a subclass of the nerves that are associated with pain. These dedicated nerves produce a molecule called natriuretic polypeptide B, which triggers a signal that's carried up the spinal cord to the brain, where it creates the feeling of an itch. When we scratch, the action of our fingernails on the skin causes a low-level pain signal that overrides the itching sensation. It's almost like a distraction, which creates the sensation of relief. But is there actually an evolutionary purpose to the itch, or is it simply there to annoy us? The leading theory is that our skin has evolved to be acutely aware of touch, so that we're equipped to deal with risks from the outside world. Think about it. Our automatic scratching response would dislodge anything harmful that's potentially lurking on our skin, like a harmful sting, a biting insect, or the tendrils of a poisonous plant. This might explain why we don't feel itching inside our bodies, like in our intestines, which is safe from these external threats. Though imagine how maddening that would be. In some people, glitches in the pathways responsible for all of this can cause excessive itching that can actually harm their health. One extreme example is a psychological condition called delusory parasitosis, where people believe their bodies are infested with mites or fleas scurrying over and under their skin, making them itch incessantly. Another phenomenon called phantom itching can occur in patients who've had amputations.
You want to put them down?
Because this injury has so severely damaged the nervous system, it confuses the body's normal nerve signaling and creates sensations in limbs that are no longer there. Doctors are now finding ways to treat these itching anomalies. In amputees, mirrors are used to reflect the remaining limb, which the patient scratches. That creates an illusion that tricks the brain into thinking the imaginary itch has been satisfied. Oddly enough, that actually works. Researchers are also searching for the genes involved in itching and developing treatments to try and block the pathway of an itch in extreme cases. If having an unscratchable itch feels like your own personal hell, Dante agreed. The Italian poet wrote about a section of hell where people were punished by being left in pits to itch
I'll watch him.
eternity.
Just leave it there. So I can see him. It's fine.
Kind of complain.
Parece que se va a dar ya. It's still the same thing, just
Alright, anybody out there having asthma? I mean, I know a lot of people in my life who have asthma, right? So they carry their bronchodilator sometimes. So we're going to learn more about this condition with certain drugs together. So asthma is a swelling of the, the lungs, the area that produces too much mucus, and it constricts and it's not having fun. You cannot breathe properly. That's why you want to dilate it, right? So there are something called short-acting, like bronchodilator, long acting, and then corticosteroid. So there's some that act immediately, which is this kind, and some that act the long term, or that takes a little bit of while to kick in, which is the other kinds. Now, again, side effects: xerostomia, again, xerostomia, and then candidiasis. That's why when we have a patient who's taking this, we tell them to rinse, 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 and rinse after they take the inhaler. Okay, if you have a patient having asthma, you tell them this. Now let's try to remember some drug names together using wake-up memory technique, because I think asthma is such an important part for us. So albuterol, this is what I see. When I see albuterol, I see albuterol. Ooh, I know it's a little different, right? But it gets the message across, a butyrol. So, butyrol, that makes me think about either curling iron that you use to make curls, some rolls in your head. And I think about that being fast. Like your hair curls in seconds. All I wanted to get to is albuterol is actually a short-acting beta agonist. That's like immediate. That's what you would have in your medicine cabinet, just in case. Ventolin. Okay, I said vent, okay? Or I said venti, and you're imagining chugging a hot venti coffee, like you're gonna burn yourself, but can you feel the burn? If you actually do, you are more likely to remember this. When I talk about venti, I'm